We want to welcome now here in studio Jonathan Elkhoury and Bar Suisa, who just came back from the U.S. From this tour organized by DiploAct. DiploAct, rather. Yeah, it makes more sense, of course. A week-long delegation that including stops in perhaps what became the spearhead of anti-Israeli, pro-Hamas sentiment nowadays, elite universities. So, Bar, Jonathan, thank you very much for joining us. And both of you embarked on this delegation armed with extra baggage, let's put it that way. Bar, you lost some friends at the Nova Music Festival on October 7th.
Yeah, actually, this is not our first delegation. Our NGO, that it's called DiploAct, we usually train students around universities in Israel, and then we go abroad to universities around the US and speak about the Israeli story. And this time we came up to speak about the Israelis and their stories. And we shared our personal stories of our loved ones that are gone, and I shared the story of my friend whose name is Jonathan Elkhoury, who was murdered in the Nova Festival party, and he went to celebrate life, and his life ended at that party. And to speak about the personal stories and those names behind those numbers was emotional for me. But I felt that this is the story that needs to be spread, because when you speak about emotions, people tend to remember at war and do not see you as this country, strong country as Israel, rather than individuals who live here and have a baggage and have normal life, and people who went to celebrate life and did not come back. And it was hard, but I felt like it was the right approach those days, in campuses in particularly.
Yeah, and you were there on a mission in their names too, not just on your behalf. And Jonathan, your personal background might catch especially those in those elite universities in the States that have such a solid perception on what is happening. Your unique background perhaps shaking their solid perception to begin with, even before the conversation begins.
Yeah, I think this is something that is super crucial to put out there the Israeli stories, like Bar mentioned before, and the non-Jewish citizens of Israel are an essential part of the Israeli society, and this is a story that needs to be told that is not really shared around the world. And me being a Christian, both also with the Lebanese background, part of the LGBTQ plus community, and Israeli, this is something that brings a different side. More, you can say, those who claim to be the most humanitarian people across the world that are supporting Hamas, this is at the end of the day the image that they need to put in their mind when it comes to Hamas. At the end of the day, they target everyone, as we saw at that party and as we saw what happened in the south of Israel. And I think coming there and kind of ripping off the carpet from beneath their really well settled feet, kind of shaking them. And this is the stories that we need to bring up. This is the stories that we need to talk about. And this is kind of the way to kind of take it out. Instead of being the Israel against the Palestinians, it's now Hamas against the Israelis, and this is something that we need to kind of focus on.
Yes, absolutely. And unfortunately, we don't have much time. But what caught you perhaps by surprise when encountering those students, probably your age, again, thinking of themselves as liberals and believe in human rights and human freedom, etc. And you come there and you're essentially tell them, guys, you got it all wrong. Jonathan?
Yeah, this is kind of yet again to kind of show them the real story of what's happening here. And the focus that Bar talked about, mentioning those names of the people who were killed at the party, who were slaughtered, and the 1,400 people and 242 people that are now in Gaza, to bringing their names and their stories kind of puts a human side to it. And this is something that didn't happen till today. They always thought that we are these monsters. And now we're kind of bringing them up to this, showing them what happened, and it kind of brings more of an emotional thing, because it's not just a video online, it's more of a personal touch, a personal someone that they can actually talk to.
Soldier, but a person like them.
People were more respectful of our stories, and they asked questions about our friends and about our feelings. We met one of the students who is an American student who studies in NYU, and she said, none of my American friends have ever asked me, are you okay? I know that your family is in Israel. I know what you're going through. And she said, all of a sudden I see is that I don't really have friends anymore. And coming there and sharing those stories, I think people saw us differently, in a different light. Because usually when we go, they saw people. Because usually, well, my personal experience in other campuses, I've been treated horribly with lots of anti-Semitism, and all of a sudden I've been treated differently.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, yet another battleground of this overall war. Jonathan Elkhoury, Bar Suisa, thank you very much for sharing your stories with us, and well done on your work on the field.